You're listening to the Table of Reason podcast, and before we dive in, we have a quick word from today's unusual sponsor. Now, we all love dogs, but imagine showing up with a baby kangaroo. That sounds insane, right? But not anymore. Kanga Companion is the only company in America that lets you rent a real-life Joey. You need a quick therapy session, a legendary office party, or even a birthday party that no one will forget. Well, show up with a kangaroo and instantly become a living legend. Every Joey is well cared for and comes with a licensed handler. No chaos, no lawsuits, just pure Australian bliss delivered to your door. So head on over to kangacompanion.com and use the promo code TABLE20 for 20% off your first rental. That's TABLE20 at kangacompanion.com. Hop on over today. Welcome back to the Table of Reason podcast. I am your host, Dylan Scott. And before I kick this off, I just want to apologize real quick. I am not feeling super great. My voice, I don't know, my whole throat, everything, just have the flu like everybody else on the planet. So I just want to kick that off. But today's also just going to be a little bit different in the fact that this is going to be the season 1 finale of the Table of Reason. So, we're just kind of wrapping this one up, and it's going to be a little bit more of like a monologue. I don't have any guests or anything lined up. So it's just going to be me kind of going over just the show and how I think the first season went, and just kind of more so my reasons for wanting to do it and kind of the plans for the future. And, I don't know, just kind of just chit chatting, I guess, kind of for this one. I do want to also just start off, for my start off by thanking, my guests and my professor who have been just absolutely incredible throughout this whole thing. So my professor, Dana Sheehan at Anna Maria, this was her course that she started, and it's all about podcasting and communication and how to use technology, how to do prep work in order to make a podcast. We get to listen to a whole bunch in class, which was super cool. We get to listen to each other's, and just what an awesome experience that was. Truly, it did kind of stink. I'd blown my back out, and very much behind on everything, and not my greatest semester, but just what a cool class. And I wish that my semester went better health wise to like truly enjoy it more. But she definitely ignited something within me that wants to truly pursue this. I mean, I definitely don't think I'm there yet to be like some sort of famous podcast or anything like that, but I don't know. I do love podcasts. I watch, YouTube and Rumble, basically any free time I get. So just kind of getting a behind the scenes look into this truly was just awesome. So just such a great course, and I would recommend it to anybody. And also to my guests, I thank Zach and Lope so much for coming on. They were huge, and they're just it was so fun. And then Tina for coming on for my third episode there, and she just brought a totally different perspective. And I truly just love talking to, all three of them. So it was just a lot of fun, and I feel like it was some good back and forth, and it really has helped me, I think, to kind of understand how to, edit episodes, and hopefully on how to be a host, and hopefully it wasn't too horrible, but I've definitely just enjoyed this whole process. Like I said, the class was just so awesome, and it really is just fun, Um, yeah, yeah. When most classes, you're reading books and you're, you know, taking final exams. I get to listen to podcasts and figure out how to make them myself, and got introduced to all this different software and technology, and it definitely helps you to be a little bit more comfortable when you're speaking too. Because I get nerves very easily when it comes to any sort of public speaking at all, even if it's something silly like talking into a microphone. My nerves get all jacked up. My daughter's actually in the middle of preparing or recording a video for a school that she wants to get into. And even right now, listening, like, helping her to prep for that. Just she has that same thing where it's just, you freeze up, you start laughing, and it's nerve wracking. They say public speaking is, something people fear more than death. Oh, I totally relate to that. But it's definitely something that I truly, genuinely want to overcome, and I don't say that lightly. I would like to be a better communicator, and I'd like to be able to, um, voice my opinions in a way that come off clearly, and that, maybe resonate with people, maybe reach people that, maybe I normally don't, or, yeah, because there is a way to deliver things that, I haven't always been the most careful with the way that I come across. So this has definitely helped me to look at myself, um, just from I don't want to say I'm biased, because of course it's yourself, but from like somebody else's perspective. So, like I said, like, just this whole class was so cool. Professor Dana was the coolest. My guests were the best. I've truly enjoyed every second of this, and I really plan to use what I've learned to keep going. Like, I really don't want to stop. And I know, my podcast relate and everything, and Professor Dana, I know you probably don't think so, but I very much so want to keep going. And if you do create that club for podcasting, I am so in. I really am. Like I said, I love podcasts. I do. I mean, maybe not so much like storytelling, or for me it's more cultural. Like, I love the cultural ones, and I like the controversial ones. Like, I'll watch like Nick Fuentes, do a monologue for 2 hours just to hear what kind of craziness he comes up with. um I really enjoy the debates, modern debate on YouTube. What a great channel. I was actually just listening to that as I was getting ready for this. um just I really like those. Even like the Tucker Carlson podcast, Candace is pretty interesting. It's like more of like that culture, and then I love my religious ones, like Ligonier. They have some great sit downs and talks and episodes that they do that are just um so interesting. And the fact that, like, 20 years or so ago, like, you couldn't have that. Like, you had to, like, go buy a CD, or you had to, go get tickets and hop on a plane to go, watch, like a convention or something like that. But now it's like everybody gets to be a part of the conversation, or be able to hear like what's going on, or new ideas, or to learn something that they're passionate about. So the whole idea of podcasting, and I know everybody and their mama has a podcast nowadays. So, like I said, I don't plan on making it my job or anything like that. But I think just having your voice out there and being, because you don't know when, maybe it's your turn to speak at the table, so to speak. So I don't know. This whole experience has been surreal. Like, I'm looking into a camera right now. I have a microphone. I didn't think, that I would ever, and I know it's for school, but even still, it's like, I didn't see that happening. So I find it very, very interesting. But for me, like, the biggest thing for why, like, I wanted this type of platform, or like channel, or this format, was because I truly do believe that, like, the First Amendment is probably one of the most important, like, aspects of our country and our culture. And I think that it's so under attack, and I genuinely mean that. Because it just seems like people have now, like, equated speech with hate and violence. Like, where, I feel like words have been used to weaponize and silence people rather than bring them together. And I don't think that everybody has to agree. And I actually think it's a good thing that we don't. If everybody just agrees, then good luck, being that black sheep, literally. If you have 99 white and just want to be like, But I do think that if somebody doesn't agree with what would be considered like the norm in society, that they shouldn't be shunned from sharing that opinion. Like, even if it's egregious, even if it's something that I find morally reprehensible, it could be something that I totally detest. Like, there's so many things, and especially like the woke ideology, that I just am so vehemently against. I am vehemently against a lot of that, like, transitioning of kids, and I'm very much anti-abortion and all these things. But even though I disagree with those things, I agree with white. I disagree. Yeah, so even the other side, you know what I mean? Like those like pro Hitler type people that, or like actual racists. I disagree with them. Um, so that's on even both sides. So it's not even just like a political alignment that I have, but I do think that both of those sides should be able to talk. I think we should hear them out. I think that disagreement, rather than just shutting them down, is probably a good thing. But I also do think that parents should have the right to, determine what it is that their kids listen to. It kind of goes back to like the whole censorship idea. Like, you go back to like the early 90s and you had like artists like, Eminem come out, or when R-rated movies started coming out. Like, I don't think that everything should be easily acceptable to minors, but I do think that when it comes to adults, that, nobody should have the right to say what I can and cannot listen to. You know what I mean? So you take somebody like, I think Nick Fuentes or an Andrew Tate would be like a good example of this, where even if you find them to be morally reprehensible, that's fine, but you don't have to listen. You know what I mean? Like, why can't other people hear what they have to say? Maybe there are little nuggets of truth in what they're saying. I don't know, but who knows if they're not allowed to speak? Like, if they're not allowed to make their arguments in their case, and if their arguments are so reprehensible and so evil, how hard that can that be to shut down? Like, I don't need to silence pro-abortion people, because I can actually just dispute them. We can go back and forth. We can try to figure out, okay, when does life begin? We can, try to figure out, when do human rights begin, et cetera, et cetera. Like, you can have a conversation about things without just shutting people down. So it almost seems like really, I mean, it's scary because, like, again, like that slippery slope is really bad, because once you start silencing people, now you got to figure out who is in charge of that, who gets to dictate that, and all of a sudden you just have actual authoritarianism, and the First Amendment has gone out the window. So I think that we've had really great First Amendment rights for a long time in the country, and then it seemed like for like a decade or so, um, we just went totally back on all of that, and all of a sudden things were not allowed to be said. Certain words were not allowed to be said. Now, again, like, there should definitely be, consequences for words, but I don't think that people should be completely taken out of the public square for them, because, again, if their ideas or what they're saying don't have legitimacy, then just debate them. It's that simple. You know what I mean? There's no reason. um, you know, and if they're doing something illegal, then you take that to the police. You made we have all sorts of laws that govern what is and isn't legal speech. But if we keep going down the trajectory that we're going down, or that we were going down, I think there has been a switch, which has been really great. But I think if we keep going down like that idea of, certain people or certain parties or groups or NGOs or certain political factions or whatever, or marginalized groups, get to determine what is and isn't allowed to say, then I think all of a sudden, like, you're going to end up like the UK, where certain words are illegal. You have people You're getting picked up at the airport for jokes. Whether you like the jokes or not, I don't think the police should be arresting people for jokes on, Twitter, X. Um, so I do think that the First Amendment is something that we need to truly cherish and fight for, and not allow anybody to take it away. Because even again, if you don't like something, don't listen to it. Dispute them. You don't have to engage if you don't want to. But the canceling and the silencing and the censorship, I just don't think gets us anywhere. I think the best way for us to have a truly functioning society, we really truly need to hash these ideas out in the public square and not depend upon government, not depend upon, I don't know, pick your group to determine who gets to speak and what gets to be spoken, et cetera, et cetera. And I don't think the speech should lead to violence. I don't think the words should lead to violence. I don't think, Zach and I had mentioned kind of in the first episode of like Charlie Kirk, regardless. I mean, if you watch enough Candace, I mean, who knows why? Not just kidding. A total joke. Just kidding. But when it comes to like Charlie, just because you disagree with somebody's take on, the Second Amendment or marriage or whatever the case may be, the fact that like it turns to violence to me too is just so pernicious, and it's so rotten, and it just shows like how truly divided a country we have become. And I'll personally do whatever it is that I possibly can to create an atmosphere where two people disagree and they can make their cases, that the public can hear them. And that's what I want to do with this channel. I hope that one day when school's all done and I can make this into a nice hobby and I have time to do it and get a nice, studio rather than this little, my little office. I would really like to get something going like that, where you can hash ideas out, and instead of it becoming like hate filled, it can be something where it's like you're sharpening, like iron sharpens iron type of deal. And I think the more that we avoid debating or confusing, arguments with hate and violence, or because I know even like people like, if they have a disagreement and they're going back and forth and they hash things out, everybody around them gets like uncomfortable. Why? like if it escalates to like violence and you getting like, okay, there's a line there for sure. But like people aren't even allowed to like disagree with each other anymore. It seems like, well, for me, like from what I see, because I see like if, I don't know, basically just everybody has to agree or just shut up. And I don't know how we got here. And I want to test ideas. I don't have any presuppositions other than the fact that I believe that God is my creator. So that's the presupposition that I work off of. And, if people have theirs, it's like, okay, well, let's figure out, how to make the best society out of it. So if I have this belief, you have this and this, and this person, and there's 340 million of us, can we get to any sort of common ground? Is there any? Who gets to decide what we talk about? Trump, Biden, whatever president, whatever political parties in, power for that 4-year cycle, or, whatever politician or celebrities getting the most shares and likes on social media. So I don't know. So I am very actually truly passionate about the First Amendment. I am very passionate about free speech and being able to have good dialogue. And I really hope in the future that, I would love to create a space where disagreements can be hashed out civilly with words, because I truly believe that debate and speech are a substitution for violence. Before we had like this type of, aristocratic type of, or Socratic, I don't know, whatever, whichever philosopher. Um, I really think that everything was just solved with violence, you know, and then you just create a culture where might makes right, and I think that that is the most damning thing for a society, is when just the strong just rule with an iron fist, and you know we can't listen to each other, we can't accept, all these people. It seems like everybody had like the biggest thing is tolerance and acceptance, you know, and I just don't see much of that from anybody, really. I don't think anybody listens. I think everybody is looking to score brownie points and get likes and shares and recognition and all these crazy things. And it kind of makes me sick, and that's not the society I want my daughter being raised in. That's not the world that, I don't know, that our forefathers made. And I truly hope one day, this channel will evolve into something. I don't know. Again, going through the whole nursing school thing. I got a million things going on. But at the end of the day, I really would like to, I don't know, see where this could possibly take me. Because I don't have like too many passions or hobbies in life. I love playing pool and stuff like that. But as far as like passions, I am passionate about debate. I am passionate about what's going on in our culture. I am very passionate about trying to make this the best place for our kids to live. And I think that the way to do that is through the First Amendment. And I think the First Amendment, pretty much in and of itself, I mean, get rid of everything else, is what made this the greatest country on earth. There's no other country that's ever had the First Amendment. And to my knowledge, there still isn't. And it doesn't even sound like there are other countries that are thinking about doing it. So when we get handed a gift like that I think is like divinely bestowed upon us, I think that we have a massive duty to save that, preserve it, uphold it, and pass that down to our children. And I think without it, we're toast. We're absolutely toast. First and foremost, more than anything. And I believe that. I mean, obviously, like, you say like nuclear weapons, Dylan, that's way worse, starvation. Well, I mean, not starvation here, but starvation elsewhere, like elsewhere, other places, that's probably worse than not being able to have free speech. But here, I would say, is absolutely the biggest detriment to our culture and the country that we have. So personally, that's where I come from, because I certainly do not have all the answers. I certainly have been changed in so many regards. Like, my mind has been changed. It's changed all the time. It truly is. And there are many things where it's like, for a minute, I'll be like, I don't know, until all of a sudden it kind of clicks, or some piece of evidence kind of fills me in. But I believe that we have to, come together and reason things out. We need to be reasonable. We need to have good faith. We need to trust in truth. And if you're not religious, I think it's difficult. I think it's difficult not having God or creator or, something objective and outside of you, to be able to come to like these ideas and beliefs. I do, because before I, was saved, I don't think I would have ever come to this. I probably would not have cared, to be honest with you. So I guess just kind of in a nutshell, I just wanted to say thank you to everybody for watching. Thank you to all my guests. Thank you to Professor Danashian. Thank you. And I don't know, I think just coming together, combating bad speech with good speech, preserving the American way, trying to, I don't know, listen to each other, be, willing to be wrong. That's a huge thing too, I think. Maybe acknowledge the fact that, we don't know everything. And yeah, so I just wanted to give my gratitude to everyone. Just kind of let everybody know who might be watching, that I do plan to continue this. I definitely do. I've had a blast making this. I would love to do more like collaborations, maybe with people that know how to podcast and edit maybe better than I do, and who have pointers and maybe grow it somehow. Um, but the table's been set, but the conversation's definitely not over. And I guess I just kind of, I don't know. I'm just grateful to live in a country where I could do this. Grateful to go to a school where this was my class, and it was great. And I really, if I could go back, I don't know, I would not blown my back out, because I don't know, the last semester for classes was the most enjoyable courses I've ever taken in my life, and I was either the sickest or the most broken I've ever been in my entire life. So it was an absolutely miserable, what was it? Well, at the end of October, yeah, like two months and some change. But by the grace of God, I'm moving around now. Don't need surgery, I don't think, and going back to work soon. So, so many things to be grateful for. And this is a good way, I think, to kick 2026 off. And, I just look forward to, seeing where this can go. I look forward to the future, and I look forward to, seeing the First Amendment be protected. And I don't know, I want to try to do my part to the best that I possibly can. So I just want to thank everybody for tuning in. Thank you so much. And I will just leave you with the beginning of Isaiah 1:18, which says, "Come now and let us reason together, says the Lord." All right, everyone. Thank you so much for tuning in, and I hope to see you pretty soon. So hit the notification bell, because who knows when the next episode is going to be. Could be soon, could be in a while. But yeah, just want to thank you all for tuning in, and don't forget to hit the lights on your way out. Till next time. Today's episode is brought to you by the podcast The Young Must Know, created by Joseph Akuto, with a mission that genuinely matters. Join him as he digs into the history of Anna Maria College and other major events that shape the world around us. Each episode features sit-downs with experts and people who are passionate about preserving the past. His goal is ambitious yet simple: reach the next generation and give them the wisdom that they might not be getting elsewhere. As the saying goes, those who cannot remember the past are condemned to repeat it. So if you care about tradition, legacy, and equipping our young people with the lessons that history has already paid for, this is a show that you should check out and share with any kiddo or young person that you know. The Young Must Know is available on all major platforms, so go check it out and support it today, and help keep our history alive for the youth who need it the most.